So just a quick recap. Remember, we're finding equations of lines. And what's the format that we use? Y equals mx plus b. So on your guided notes on the back side, that's the first thing you want to write at the top. Right below, given two sets of points, write down use y equals mx plus b. Now, when they do it this time, they're going to give you coordinates. One of the coordinates is going to have a 0 in it. So the number in the coordinate with the 0, that's the y-intercept. And we wrote something like that down. Let me just go back a page for a second. We wrote something like that earlier, actually right here. When you have a coordinate and the first number is a 0, look at the second number. That second number is the y-intercept. Okay, so just all you have to fill in is y-intercept and then b in bold. And then the last thing we have to do after we have the y-intercept is we have to find the slope. Did we already write this formula down today once?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I think we wrote it on the front.
Yeah, we did.
Maybe we can write it again if you want. The slope, you're going to have to do this to find the slope. y2 minus y1 in the top, x2 minus x1 in the bottom, and then on the blank put the word slope, and then the m. All right, now try an example. Do you guys already have the example written under 3a, or is it just blank? It's blank. Okay, so I'll give you that. So I think we jumped ahead and we looked at this one, but we didn't actually do it. So those are the points, -3, 5, and 0, -1. So the first step is just to write down which number is which. Remember, each coordinate has an x and a y. I usually call the first one x1, second one y1, the next one x2, and the next one y2. Okay, so let's see if we can figure it out. The number in the coordinate with the 0 is the y-intercept. So does anybody think they see which number is the y-intercept?
5.
The number in the coordinate with the 0.
Oh, -1.
Yeah, -1. Okay, this is the coordinate with the 0. And that's the number with the 0. -1. What's the -1 again?
The y-intercept.
That's my y-intercept. Yep. Okay, Eli, what else do I have to find besides the y-intercept? Yep, I need the slope. Now, in the last problem, or the first type of problem, they gave you the slope. In the second problem, you had to count how many up and how many over. Do they give you the slope in this one? What do you think, Sam?
No.
No, they don't say like they did here. The slope is -3. Okay, they don't do that. Do they give you a picture where you could count how many up and over?
No.
No. So how are we going to have to find the slope then?
Wouldn't you do the formula?
Yep, you got to do the formula, the rise over the run. That's the y2s and the x2s and all that stuff. Which number here is y2?
y2, -1.
-1. Madeline, what about y1?
0.
0. No, that's x2.
Oh, 5. Wait, what did you ask me?
Y1.
Oh, 5.
Yep, y1 is 5. And then in the bottom, now I need x2. Lily, what's x2?
0.
That's 0. Minus x1. What's x1? Yep.
-3.
Yep. So just be careful because it's minus 3. Okay. And -1 minus 5 is going to give me how much? -6. And 0 minus -3
3.
plus 3. And what is -6 divided by 3 reduced to? -2. Okay. So now I've got my slope. Now I've got my y-intercept. Now I can write my equation. What's the format again that we're using?
Y equals mx plus b.
Good. Y equals mx plus b. So y equals, what number gets plugged in for the m? -2. And what always goes right next to the m? X. And what number gets plugged in for the b? -1. There you go. And that's the third type. So you have to find your slope and your y-intercept, but this time you've got to use the slope formula. And actually the next type is going to be the same. We'll do one more of these though. All right, let's try this one. So the number in the coordinate with the 0 is your y-intercept. What's the number that's in the coordinate with the 0 this time? -5. And that's my what?
Y-intercept.
Yep. And what letter is the y-intercept?
B.
B. So that's my y-intercept. What's the second thing I need after I get that? I need the... Yep.
To find the slope, so you do the
Slope.
x and the y.
And what letter is the slope?
Slope. M.
M. And now let's label these so we can fill them into our formula. What's the 0? Yep.
Oh, I was gonna ask you that.
Yeah, you can decide now.
Maybe.
What's the 0?
Zero is x1.
That's x1. All right. How about the -5?
Y1.
Okay, that's y1. What about the 8?
X2.
X2. And someone else the -5?
Y2.
Y2. Perfect. And now I'll just make it so we can see both. Fill them into... Actually, I can just zoom out. Fill them into that formula that's right up there. Okay. So start with y2. What's y2?
-5.
-5. Minus. What's y1?
-5.
-5 again. So y2 minus y1. And then Eli, what's going to go in the bottom? Right? What's the formula for the bottom when you're finding slope?
Y equals mx plus b.
Well, for the m part of the formula, the run. Yeah,
X2 minus x1.
x2 minus x1. So in this case, 8 minus 0. Okay, what's -5 minus -5 going to be? Well, Marie, what's negative 5 minus negative 5?
0.
Yeah, that's going to be 0. And 8 minus 0 is 8. So what's my slope here? 0. 0 divided by anything is 0. So that's my slope. So here's my y-intercept. Here's my slope. And what's the equation that we're going to plug them into?
Y equals mx plus b.
Yep. Y equals mx plus b. And this time, what's the m?
0.
Yep, m is 0. And what's the b?
Negative 5.
There we go. And what's another way you could write that we talked about?
Y equals negative 5.
Yep, you could just put y equals negative 5, but I would mark either one of those correct. Okay. Any questions on that? That's the third type. Okay, luckily the fourth type is really just like the third type. They're basically going to give you two coordinates, but I think they just write the coordinate a little differently. Let me just look at an example. Yep, that's exactly what it is. All right, so what's the format that we've been using all along? Y equals mx plus b. So where it says put in, that's what you're going to do for your answer. You're going to put your answer in y equals mx plus b form. Okay, so the only difference between this one and the last one is they're still going to give you a coordinate this time. They're just going to give you the coordinate in a different notation. We've used this notation. It's called function notation. Do you guys remember how you say that?
F of x.
F of x. Yep. This is your x value. What it equals over here is the y value. That's basically what I write on the next line. So where you have spot to fill in, it says then f of, f, and then when you have whatever you have in parentheses right here. I left it blank because there'll be a number in there. But whatever number is there, the number in the parentheses is the x. The number after the equal sign is the y. So like if I did this, 2 is the x. The number after the equal sign is the y. So writing that is just like writing this. It's the same thing. It's just a different way to write it. Okay. And if you're given one of these that has a 0 in it, just like a coordinate with a 0, the one with the 0 is the y-intercept. Okay, so you're going to have one that has a 0. Whichever one has a 0, the number that's with it is the y-intercept. So the last bullet, it says label your x's and y's. That's like the x1, the x2, the y1, and the y2. And what does this formula help us to find? Why do we use that formula? To find the slope. Or what letter do we call that? M. Yep, I forgot to fill that in on mine. Right, so really, as long as you understand that this is the same as this, then you can do it just like the last problem. There's no difference. So let's look at this one. It says write a linear function, and I think you guys already have this one printed. How would you write this one as a coordinate instead of writing it the way they did there?
0, 10.
0, 10. And can someone else tell me how you would write this bottom one as a coordinate.
6, 34.
Yeah. And once you write them as coordinates, now you can think about it just like we did the last problem. Do it just like that. So the number in the coordinate with the 0 is the y-intercept. So what number do you think is the y-intercept here?
34.
So the number in the coordinate with the 0 is the 34 in the coordinate with the 0?
10.
Yeah. The 10 is the number in the coordinate with the 0. So 10 is your y-intercept. Okay, so we got that. And Madeline, what's my formula to find the slope again? Okay, so that's how we're going to write the final answer, but how do you get the m in the y equals mx plus b?
y2 minus y1
Yep.
2.
1 x2 minus x1. Perfect. Eli, what's the 0 here? What could we label that?
y2 or the x2?
Well, first of all, is the first number in the coordinate an x or a y? It's an x. And is this my first x or my second x?
First.
Yeah, it'd be my first x if you think of it as how you're reading the problem. So that's my first x. Marie, what about the 10?
That'd be your... No, that'd be your first... No.
First y.
Yeah, first y.
How about the 6? What's that going to be?
Your second x.
My second x. And the 34?
Your second y.
My second y. Okay. Fill those numbers in, and let's see what we get for the slope. So my second y is 34. My first y is 10. My second x is 6. And my first x is 0. Okay. What's 34 minus 10?
21.
Yep, 24. And 6 minus 0?
6.
6. And that gives me a slope of?
4.
Yep, 6 times 4 is 24. Okay, so we've got the y-intercept. It was the number with the 0. We've got the slope. What's the equation we use for our final answer?
Y equals 2.
Yep. mx plus b. And m this time is going to be
4.
4. And what always goes right next to the slope? X. And what about the b?
10.
Plus 10. Any question on that one?